If you are here, you have taken an active role in bettering your life, no matter what stage of life you are in. The Banyan Treatment Center's podcast will discuss many topics like recovery, addiction, self-help, mental health, and so much more. It will provide you with tools to succeed, ideas for recovering, and how-tos on creating a better life. My name is Alyssa, and today's episode is Debunking Myths About Addiction. Today on our panel, we have Michael Sorrentino from MTV's hit TV show, Jersey Shore Family Vacation. For those of you who don't know, Mike has been working as a recovery advocate for about 3 years now, and through this partnership, we have been able to spread the message of hope and recovery to thousands of individuals. So thank you so much, Mike, for being here today.
Oh, yes. Thank you guys so much for having me.
Although addiction has been classified by the American Medical Association as a disease since 1987, there are still skeptics that believe it is a choice. These skeptics often spread myths from a lack of understanding of the condition. Today, we are going to speak about some of the most common myths surrounding addiction. Being that our guest has experienced a public battle with addiction and also has been very public about his recovery journey, we believe he's the perfect candidate to discuss this topic with. With the help of Mike Sorrentino, we will uncover these myths and get to the truth. All right, Mike. So the first myth that we want to talk about here is overcoming addiction is a matter of willpower. You can stop using drugs if you really want. Have you ever heard this before?
Yeah. I probably tried it as well. I failed miserably. I think about 2 or 3 times. I was able to get a streak of maybe a couple months, maybe a year, but it never stuck because I never really truly followed the program until the last 7 years. Also, I've tried substitution as well. So a lot of people feel that if they stop one drug, they can still do others. And I also believe that is incorrect as well.
And, you know, the topic of willpower specifically, like, what would you say is the reason that people think it's willpower?
I mean, again, I think it stems from people believing that it's a choice, you know, and in fact, I don't believe that it is a choice. I believe that it is a disease. And I also believe that certain people are affected and certain people aren't, you know. For instance, my wife, she can have a drink of wine and she can put it down. And then whereas if I was to ever think of doing something like that, you wouldn't see me for a couple of years probably.
Yeah. People also forget that the drug addiction and alcoholism is not even the disease that we're talking about here. That is a symptom of the disease. That is what they are using to medicate the problems that they're having in their life. So it does make sense that people can get confused about it because yes, it's a lot of bad choices. It's like the recipe for disaster, you know, but you have to have the personality, the addictive personality type. You have to have the lack of coping skills, kind of that perfect recipe to lead to addiction. So no, it's not a choice. It's a disease. And if the American Medical Association can get behind it, I think that these people that don't believe it can do a little bit more research and get behind it too.
I really liked what you said about the perfect storm of addiction. There's also the perfect storm of recovery as well. You know, if you go to treatment and you follow the suggestions and you get the sponsor and you do the 90 and 90 and you do the 1 day at a time, it works if you work it. So there's the perfect storm of recovery as well.
Now let's get into myth number 2. Using drugs like opioid painkillers are safe since they're commonly prescribed by doctors.
Oh my God, that's...
I know you can relate to this one.
Oh yeah. I actually was watching a show on Hulu called Dope Sick with Michael Keaton. And I thought it was really good. And it really touches on that topic of the fact that in the medical field, when some of those painkillers were, I think it was in the 2000s, they were saying that it was non-addictive.
Yep.
And it was just lunacy, you know, seeing it now in 2022. And it just goes to show you that even doctors don't have the knowledge or education on addiction as well.
Yeah, that's actually a great example that you're bringing up. I also watched that poor doctor that was sold by the big pharma rep to encourage him to use it and believing that he can really help his patients with this chronic pain from working in, what was it, the coal mines in his town?
Yeah.
Right.
Coal mines,
and then he winds up getting addicted to it as well.
Yeah, it was a really good, a very eye-opening series that I would definitely suggest. Me and my wife watched it, and I definitely enjoyed it, and it was definitely very informative.
What about your personal experience? I mean, I know that you were also prescribed drugs for when you injured yourself.
Yeah, doctors would just openly prescribe it for me. They, even knowing that I was an addict or they knew that I was an addict, I don't really feel that a lot of doctors have the education on addiction. I feel that they have their education on prescribing for that pain.
Right.
And then a lot of times they don't take into account addiction and dependency. So for me, that happened to me. I was hurt a couple times in 2011 and they immediately prescribed me my drug of choice. And then I went right down that rabbit hole for a couple years until probably 2015. But now it's totally different. My education on addiction and dependency, I consider top tier right now. So if I was to get hurt, or I actually went and got my teeth redone recently. And the first thing I did—
They look great, by the way.
Thank you. The first thing I did when I sat down with the doctor was discuss, was I going to be going through any pain? And discuss the fact that I only want non-narcotic, no matter what I say. And that, I only want ibuprofen and you need to give it to my wife, and that my sobriety is more important than anything else. So that was like— a really big moment for me, because I was afraid to get my teeth done for a couple of years because I didn't want to go to the doctor and the doctor say, yeah, you know what, you got to take a couple Vicodins because, for 3 days. And I was really petrified, to be honest with you, because I didn't want to lose my streak. And then finally, most recently, I challenged myself to be like, you know what, like I know better now. So I actually sat down and discussed with the doctor the options after the surgery, and it worked out fine, the ibuprofen. Yeah. So, and if I was to get into any surgeries going forward, I would definitely do the same.
Well, that was very smart of you to do that. And I think it's admirable. And, hopefully people are encouraged to do the same thing, because 9 times out of 10, you can just take like an extra strength ibuprofen that the doctors can prescribe to you. And they're not medically necessary 90% of the time.
They cause other problems.
Yep.
And that's the thing, you know what I'm saying? Like so many people are in my DMs and they're just like, oh my God, like I wish I never took a pill. How did you escape it? And it's all, I hurt myself here. I had my surgery there. It's the same story, what we're talking about now. So I'm so grateful that I've had the chance of recovery and I made the right decisions,
So myth number 3, addiction is a disease and there's nothing that can be done about it. Now, we agree with addiction is a disease, but there's definitely something that can be done about it.
What do you mean there's nothing you can do about it?
Like there's no way to recover from addiction.
That's crazy.
Yeah, like they're a lost hope. Addicts are a lost hope. That poor homeless guy walking down the street, it's a lost hope.
I think I'm like the poster child for an amazing comeback, But again, I think what you said before about the perfect storm of addiction, and also the perfect storm of recovery, I knew that the odds were against me. So I really took the suggestions and I really put all hands on deck to get the results that I needed one day at a time.
Now, myth number 4, addicts have to hit rock bottom before they can get better.
That's a tricky one. I don't think that they have to hit rock bottom. I mean, it'd be better if they don't, right?
Right. We want to try to help people before they lose everything in their lives.
Hence why we're doing this podcast right now.
Yes.
Hence why we do a lot of the events that we do. To learn from the people that came before you. And hence why I'm paying it forward in everything I do in life, to try to save some people some grief in life, to learn from my experience, strength, and hope. And no, I don't think that they have to hit rock bottom. The case is a lot of the times it does, but it doesn't have to be that way.
If you're struggling and you're listening to this out there, you do not need to wait until you lose everything. learn from other people's mistakes. That's why we try to destigmatize this disease, because you can get help before you lose everything. And the longer you wait, the smaller and smaller that window of opportunity closes on you. You know, it's harder when you wait longer.
Yes, because then the wreckage of your past is miles and miles long, and it takes longer for you to sort of get your life back. And that can be discouraging sometimes.
All right. Myth number 5. You can't force someone into treatment. They want to help. They have to want help.
I actually, I don't think that you can force somebody into treatment. I don't think you can. No, I think that they have to want it for themselves, because 9 out of 10 times, if someone goes to treatment and they say, I'm doing it for my mom, or I'm doing it for a job, or I'm doing it for something else other than yourself, a lot of the times they end up failing. I think most of the time, you know, from my experience, and I've been in the rooms or recovery for almost a decade. So, you know, I've heard all the stories. So you have to really do it for yourself, and you have to really want it. And just like I explained how I did my recovery and my comeback, you got to really, really want it. You got to really want it as bad as you know, wanted to get high.
I agree with you. And I agree with this one also. You know, maybe you can get them through the door at the beginning, and maybe that's just the beginning of their recovery journey. But at the end of the day, until that person is ready for the help for themselves, it's not really going to work for them.
Yeah, they're going to keep going back to treatment over and over again if they're lucky, because the odds are against them, until they really, really want it and they really make a change.
All right. So our last myth on here is treatment didn't work before, so there's no point in trying again.
Oh my goodness.
I've heard this one plenty of times.
I think there's a quote out there that says, like, don't change the goal, change like the plan. You know, it's almost like you're not going to change, like you're not going to change the fact that you want to recover and you want a successful, healthy life. You just might have to make some certain changes to get there. You know, if you fail a couple times, you know, like, all right, this is not going to work. I think failure is a part of success as well, you know?
Absolutely.
You know, and it has happened to me too. I actually failed. My wife will probably say like 3 or 4 times. How many times is it, honey? 4? Probably 4. I'm going to say 4 right now. But yeah, I failed, you know, over and over again until I succeeded, you know? And I think that's the mindset you got to have. If you know, fail at anything, if you keep trying and trying again, I feel like there's an amazing quote that says that the universe falls in love with a stubborn heart. And you have to just keep trying and trying, and eventually you'll succeed. And the same thing in recovery. Recovery, the odds are against you, but those that don't give up are the ones that succeed.
Absolutely. You know, we hear this a lot with people because maybe they don't have experience with recovery or treatment in general, but they think that treatment is just going to magically cure them. And that's not what it's about. It's about giving you the tools for success. It's about teaching you what you need to do, the principles in place, giving you some time to restructure your thought patterns and come up with better coping skills. So when you go out there in the real world, you're able to succeed.
Yep. And apply them. Yep.
Yes. This isn't like you're going to the hospital and getting a surgery to, you know, fix something. That's not how this works.
Yeah. I actually have a friend, I'm not going to name who it is, but it's very similar, that they thought that if they got married, like everything was going to be peaches and you didn't have to like work. You didn't have to like work at the marriage. And just like in any relationship and in recovery, you have to work at it, you know, or it's not going to work anymore. So
what would you suggest to someone looking for help?
I think it's really simple. If someone is looking for help, you have to address the problem, and you have to get help, and you have to go to treatment. I mean, it's very, very simple. I think the first step is sort of getting out of your way and realizing that your best decisions have led you to possibly rock bottom, or possibly not, your life being unmanageable. And now it's time to fix it and get out of your own way and surrender. And
if anybody is struggling, you know, please feel free, follow Mike. He posts a lot of inspirational stuff. He also has the Hope Dealer Instagram page. You can follow that as well for some more inspiration, and always reach out for help. You know, Banyan is here for you. Mike is here for you. This is why we do this. You know, we're trying to help as many people as possible and have them realize that the disease of addiction is very real. And, you know, a lot of people are struggling out there, and you're not alone.
Yeah, you guys are not alone. There are positive stories out there. We've said before, it works if you work it one day at a time, and no one is going to fix your life but yourself, that person in the mirror. So you have to take that step, and if nothing changes, nothing changes.
We hope you enjoyed today's episode. Remember that growth and recovery are possible, and it can all start today. Please be sure to follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Banyan Treatment Centers, and make sure you're subscribing for notifications of new episodes. And don't forget to leave us a review. If you or someone you know is struggling, call us today at 888-515-7706. Thanks for joining us today on the Banyan Podcast.
Thanks, guys. Don't forget, we always have an awesome situation, and the comeback is always greater than the setback.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.